guys.
Last year, in your pursuit to find an identity in the ACC, you guys almost kind of lost what your identity had been in the Big East. How do you go about getting back to, not necessarily finding your identity in the ACC, but getting back to what this program used to be the last 3, 4, 5 years in the Big East?
Well, we gotta start on the defensive end. You know, that was really a problem for us. And even when we started last spring in April, you got to remember when we started our postseason workouts, we only had 6 guys. There was no Grant, there was no Connaughton, and we did a lot of 3-on-3 different defensive things because we felt that's where we really needed to start. You know, there's no question that Italy was a great advantage and comes at a great time for our program with the year that we had, Grant coming back, some young guys that we need to do more this year to get those 10 practices, those 4 games, and to kind of be together in game mode was a great advantage for us. I've talked about the defense. We need to get back to scoring that thing too. You know, we have been really efficient offensively and getting back to spreading the floor and getting our spacing back, which means at times playing a little smaller. You know, Connaughton has played as a second big sometimes. So it kind of goes twofold. You know, I kind of like where we're at. I have a better gauge where we're at because of the mini season we had this summer that was really beneficial.
How much does that fuel you as to last year? That wasn't what you guys were. How much does that fuel you and those guys to say, let's be more like what Notre Dame used to be?
Yeah, I think, you know, we've gotten through talking about last year. I think it's a nice chip on our shoulder for all of us to come back and come off the mat. And we've been put in that position before. In my tenure here, but you know, we've kind of started to develop our own identity, and again, because we had a foreign tour, you know, we have a better feel for who we are. You know, we've got a lot of pieces. One of the things that would encourage me the whole off season was Grant and Connaughton are 2 of the better players, maybe the 2 of the 10 best or 12 best returning players in the ACC. That's a great place to start. Now, the first thing we had to do is get them back. And, you know, that was the most important recruiting. Now, there was never really much drama with them not coming back. But when I saw them in our first workout around June 18th, my blood pressure went down a little bit, you know, and said, okay, you know, that's a great place, certainly a great place for us to start. And then we have a lot of pieces. You know, one of the things we were able to achieve, and I really wanted to achieve this summer, was Jackson and August feeling as main guys. They started every game in Italy. We've played them with Connaughton and Grant and Vastoria, who, by the way, Vastoria is kind of a main guy. What was lost in a tough year as a team, Vastoria had a heck of a freshman year and really delivered for us. But for August and Jackson to really feel part of it and to grow and to kind of better understand their roles was huge. And I think, again, we're further ahead than we would be because they've got to do it in a dress rehearsal in August in Italy.
What did you see from, you mentioned the 5 main guys, what did you see from Burgett this summer after he got his taste last year?
Well, you know, Burgett had a tough, if one guy had a disappointing foreign tour, it was Burgett, and it was because he was banged up. In our first 8 practices, and that was kind of number 9 there, we did a short one, he's playing, he's solid. You know what he's doing? He's helping defensively guard everybody. I actually compared him to Scott Martin in a film session the other day, rotating over, rotating on a drive, helping on a ball screen. He's very unselfish defensively. The ball moves and he gets people open. You know, he kind of helps us flow on both ends of the floor. It's really good when he makes open shots too, because he gets them. That second big, when we spread the floor, that's a guy that gets looks, and so he's going to get them. But I feel good about where he's at after 8 days, knowing our system, understanding it. You know, we have had a long history of juniors, the light bulb really going on, and as a junior, you really become a key guy. Jack Cooley, Robbie Kurz, Tim Abramitis, Tyrone Nash, Carlton Scott. There's many of them. Then, you know, when that junior year comes, you've been in the program for 2 years, and you're really ready to deliver. And I feel good about Zach and Berg in that position for us this year.
Get an idea of the identity. What do you expect the identity to be?
Well, we have to get out and trace the ball and pressure the ball more because this league shoots it better than the Big East. You know, the one thing that's evident is The skill level in this league and the basketball IQ is different than the Big East. There's more teams that play like us. Spread the floor, second big guy can shoot the basketball. You don't have as many non-shooters on teams as you did in the Big East. Big East had a lot of athletes that maybe weren't great basketball players. So we're having to get out and trace the ball and pressure the ball more. I think what helps us is Demetrius Jackson's role. The first thing we're asking Demetrius Jackson to do, and we simplified his role, which I think has really helped him. The best thing that happened to Demetrius Jackson, Eric Atkins is in Athens, Greece. That's the best thing that happened to Demetrius Jackson. He gets to have the ball and quarterback. But he pressures the ball unlike anybody we've had here in my 4 years. And it's really helping us start our defensive possessions. I think teams will have to start their possessions a little further out, and it starts with his pressure on the ball. And then on the offensive end, just quarterback our team and make good decisions with it. His decision-making last year, was not great at times. He's become a better quarterback. That's all I wanted you to do. Pressure the ball and make good decisions quarterback. And, that scoring stuff, that'll happen. Don't worry about your jump shot. That'll happen. And I think simplifying that role has really helped us. Flowing offensively, that we can be a little more 4-round-1 than playing two big guys, which we really played a lot of last year, opens the floor for guys like Demetrius Jackson and Jaren Grant to get in there and make plays. And we have shooters, I think. We have enough guys that can shoot it. The one thing that was encouraging offensive statistic from Italy, the line's longer, the FIBA line's longer, and we played with a different ball, and we shot 40% from the three-point line. I think we're back to having some more shot makers that helps you offensively, but also helps your spacing because people have to come out and guard you. I don't know the full identity yet because I'm still trying to figure out the league a little bit too. And I've said to some people, maybe in the offseason, I've seen you, I really feel like I'm back when I took the job in 2000. When I got here in 2000, we were 30 games under 500 in the Big East. And we were scratching and clawing to figure out an identity. And we did a good job of that. I feel that we're back in that mode again. Who are we going to be? I mean, how do we keep tweaking maybe how we play to have a consistent identity, that one that we achieved in the Big East? I don't think I have all the information yet, but I got some good starters, and I got a chance to work on it this summer with the foreign tour.
Every player is different. Every player is motivated in different ways. When it comes to Demetrius and Zach August, what buttons do you push? What inspires them? What motivates them?
Well, when you get the call and you're a starting guy, you give one of them the ball and you tell the other guy, you're our starting center. That's a pretty good place to start with them feeling like, okay, I'm in there now. More is expected of me, and I am going to get the chance to really do it. And I do think they're both, from a maturity standpoint, are ready to accept that. The biggest thing that Zach had to do was slow down. Slow down. He plays so fast, and he would play too emotional at times, and that got him into trouble. I think as an older guy in our program, he's become more mature just because he's grown up. He's learned to slow down a little bit, and that's really helped us. With Demetrius, again, that he knows he's the guy. There's no Atkins there to kind of, do I play off him? Am I backing him up? And you're the quarterback. It's your team. Run the team, but we need this from you. And we kind of stumbled on his role or evolved into his role after the second game in Italy. I was going down each guy and telling him, and I said, Demetrius, I think we found the role for you, and we're going to keep it really simple. You need to pressure the ball, man, because no one can pressure the ball like you. Maybe in the league. You're really good at it. And just run our team and make good decisions with the ball. Don't worry about the other stuff. And I think that's helped him, do that. I mean, it's simplified it, and he's been, more efficient with it. But they have gotten, when you get reps with Grant and Connaughton and Vastoria, who are three pretty steady, they are who they are everyday guys. I think you kind of drag some of those young guys with you when you're veterans like that, and they learn to be more consistent on a daily basis.
And where does penetration fit in with Demetrius?
Yeah, I mean, we want him to. The one thing that he's doing a great job of is the initial penetration in transition. Like, we can really change ends when he has the ball, or Grant. Those guys get the ball up the floor quick. So we try to get it in quick or get it out quick on a miss, get it in quick on a make, and go. So that initial penetration's been good for him. We certainly, through the course of our motion, will ball screen for him, and we want him to go in and create and make those decisions and attack. You know, he had a hard time finishing over size last year. You know, you go from playing in the NIC to playing in the ACC, all of a sudden there's some dudes back there that are just a little bit bigger than me trying to block your shot. And I think he's learned to stop and shoot the runner, stop and shoot the 10-footer, or kick, make that kick out, because we've got guys out there that can make a shot.
How about your other guy who played in the NIC, Austin? What's his role this year?
You know, if there was a pleasant surprise of Italy, it was Austin Torres. Very pleasantly surprised. Energy guy, dirty work guy. I've taken clips of Fareed and how he plays and how he played with the national team this summer. Rebound, screen, roll, block shots, take charges. Not worried about your 15-footer unless it's a free throw. You know, I told him the only shots I worry about is a dunk and a free throw. Screen. And I think if he can grasp that and stay healthy, because he's been nicked at times, we've got an energy guy coming off. He did some things in Italy that were very impressive athletically. And he can defend. He can move his feet on perimeter guys defensively. So I really am encouraged where he's at, because, you know, at the end of the spring, I wasn't sure where it was going to go with him. So the pleasant surprise of the tour.
Talk about kind of like 2000 when you first got into the Big East, first got here. I mean, anything different for you day to day? I mean, it just seems like almost a reinvention for a guy who's been doing what he's been doing for.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think you know, you've gotten back into real. You know what was great about this summer? I got to teach more than I usually teach. And I think that helped me in recruiting and everything else, all facets, because you're in with your program, you're teaching your guys, you're working with your guys. You know, I think we broke it down to some really simple stuff on the defensive end, just some simple footwork, things that we would rotate in and out of based on the experience of the teams that I've had in the past. It was good to see us maybe get back into a free-flowing style of play offensively where we can spread the floor and shoot it and score it and drive and kick, because when we've had good years, that's how we flowed. And so we show signs of playing that way, which is encouraging. To me, it's been energizing a little bit. New league, okay, now who are you going to be in this thing? It's, again, I think I've said it's like taking a new coaching job without leaving, you know, trying to figure this league out. And you know, how do we better prepare for Duke? How do we better prepare for North Carolina? But I think when I say me, I include the staff, it's been energizing to kind of teach again. And, man, we're up against the wall here a little bit. And been there, done that, been there a couple times. And but excited with the group that we have, because we've got some pieces. I'm not sure how these things all fit together yet, but we've got a lot to work with.
Mike, any rule changes this season?
You know, the biggest rule change is the charge rule that we screwed up. And remember, it was on the gather. The guy has to be set, and it was really harder to take a charge. And I think I said at times last year you weren't even sure how to teach taking a charge because you had to be there so early. We've gone back to, if the defender is in position before the offensive player leaves the floor, then it's a charge. And that is easier for officials. I think it's easier for coaches to say, okay, go on in there and try and get charges again. That's the biggest one. I mean, there's still going to be, I think, an off-the-ball contact concern, you know, cutters, and we like to cut and move. So when we get grabbed and held, you know, that's beneficial for us, and it's good for the game to flow. The one thing we will experiment with in our 2 exhibition games is a 30-second shot clock, which I believe will become the rule for next season. We'll vote on it in the spring. The rules committee, well, I'm not part of that anymore, but we'll go to a 30-second shot clock, I think, after this season. But we will experiment in some leagues, the ACC included, in our exhibition games.
Mike, if the pieces do come together, what's this team capable of achieving this year?
You know what? I mean, we look and we say, let's fight back into the mix of an NCAA bid. You know, that the one thing we've created around here, which I'm proud of, is when we don't get an NCAA bid, we're really disappointed. I love that that's kind of been what we've created. So that's never, you know, really changed for us. The one thing I told them in the locker room after the last game in Italy, I said, fellas, we are going to be picked around 9, 10, 11 in this league. And I said, there are many times we came out of Big East Media Day. I can remember vividly coming out with Robbie Kurz, who was my lone senior that year, and we were picked 11th. And he was all pissed off, and I can't believe that. And I said, maybe that's not a bad. We've come from the double-digit hole many times to snatch a bid. So it's not unfamiliar territory for our program coming from where we will, I'm assuming, will be picked. But, when I look at the league, Carolina, Duke, Virginia, Louisville, I think those guys are locks. Right now on paper, they're locks. And then you get past those 4, there's a lot of people floating around in that next level trying to figure it out. I think we're one of them, trying to, a lot of people have lost some men on their roster too. We had 2 men return to us, which helps us. Now, and again, I get into this, can we get this thing to 8 bids? Can we get into the number of bids that the Big East was getting consistently? 8, 9, heck, the one year we had 11. Can we get it to that? We were 6 last year. I believe we'll get to that, and I think we'll be right there at it again this year. And, that was one of the saving graces about coaching in the Big East. Everyone would always say, oh, my God, you're in the Big East. I said, yeah, it's tough. But we were getting 8, 9 bids. If you could look in the offseason and go, wait a minute, if I get to the top 8, I'm in. All right, I can work with that. That's a realistic shot. If this league continues to get 5 and 6 bids, not good for coaches. Not good for coaches. I may be back at DeMatha teaching history and coaching the JV, baby.
Mike, you saw Steve last year as a freshman show you a lot of skill, and I think he had a lot of grit to last year's squad. What's the next step for him?
That's a great, I think we can put him on the best perimeter defender, which is good because it saves Connaughton a little bit, because we did that with Connaughton all the time. Connaughton may have to be guarding some power forwards this year the way we play, which I'm confident he can do. But Vastori can guard anybody on the perimeter. If there's one guy Jaron Grant hates playing against in practice, it's Steve Vastori, because he can't get by him. He just stays in front of everybody, and then he's a very good team defender. I think he's going to shoot it better. We've worked on getting that arc back and getting it was kind of flat, and we're trying to get that thing up a little bit. And I think he's shooting the ball better. But the biggest area that I've been after him about, and he needs to improve, is he can't have the turnovers he had last year. His basketball IQ is too high to make some of the decisions with the ball that he made last year. He's going to be on the floor a lot for us. He's just got to be better in that area. But, he's taller than Connaughton. People wouldn't think. He's 6'6", 212 pounds. He's a big dude. And so there's a lot of things, rebounding the ball, a lot of things he can do. He just should be better with the ball because the basketball IQ is too high for him to throw it in the pep band every now and then.
You mentioned getting some men back. One guy that might have to play that way, I know you don't like to talk about a freshman right now, but Gavin.
Yes.
255, legit 255.
260, and all good stuff. It's amazing to watch his body change because he really couldn't lift because of the wrist injury. Couldn't get the bar in his hands. And when he was cut loose, Tony Berlinski did an unbelievable job with him. He's 6'9", 260, moving good, can lean on people. And I think he's found out, again, Italy's a benefit for, this is all I need to do. Martin, I need you to defend the post. I need you to be physical. I need you to screen. I need you to rebound. Not worried about your drop step right now. Not too worried about your jump hook or your foul line jump shot. That'll come, but he can help us there. The other guy, we have had 8 practices, and we have an efficiency point system. Number 1 through 8 practices was Jaron Grant. Number 2 was Bonzie Colson because he's rebounding the heck out of the ball. And right now, that's one of my biggest concerns again, especially if we're playing a little smaller. Can we rebound the ball, especially on the defensive end, well enough? We're moving better defensively as far as pressuring the ball and rotating, because that lineup I talked about is pretty good moving around and moving their feet. But can we finish the possession? Bonzie Colson's going to be in there for us. We got to keep grooming him. He came the other end of the spectrum than Gebben. He was a little heavy. Actually kind of had a gut, and we tease him about it. But I'll tell you, between nutrition and being around the older guys, he's leaner. He's got an unusual, he's 6'5", but the wingspan's 6'11". I don't know what position but he gets his hands on the ball. He's a shot maker around the bucket. He could be a post-up guy. All I know is he gets rebounds. So I told our guys in Italy, I said, don't you think the best, most consistent rebounder, it's going to be hard for me to take that guy out of the game. And probably the second best rebounder. It's hard to take those guys out of the game. So both of them, I think we have to get ready, and we're going to need them. I didn't mention Beecham yet, and so I'm sure someone was going to ask. He was our sixth man in Italy. We brought him right off. He's up to 200 pounds now. He's talking more. He's communicating more. I mean, there's growth there. And so he's really a key guy for us coming off the bench, and he was our sixth man in Italy.
You mentioned Demetrius, you mentioned footwork, but what else can you guys do to be better defensively this season?
Well, I mean, just pressuring the ball and contesting a little bit more. You know, in the Big East, we could get away with playing what we call 11, where three-point line pickup and just don't pack it in. You could jam it in more, but people shoot it better here, and you got to get out. You can't play off of people. So given that we have Demetrius and given that we do have some speed in some other spots, we've tried to get out and contest passes more. We have done that. We've demanded that, really starting in June. And we've not played any sinking, helping man-to-man. We really haven't talked about any zone yet because our man-to-man habits had to improve. So we've stayed with them. You know, and so I think we could maybe turn a few people over because we can contest and we have good ball pressure there.
Can you also be better defensively because you can be better on the offensive end, taking care of the ball and making shots at a higher percentage than what you did last season?
Well, it's a fine line. You know, like everybody says, oh, you got to get better defensively. Yeah, but, you know, as much as I was thinking about this offseason, can we get back to scoring that thing and being good with the ball like we've been most of the time here? And really beautiful to watch, and people want to imitate and come and watch our practice. How do you teach your motion? And I do believe some of our best defensive segments have been when we get on one of those offensive runs, it does break the will of people, or they come down and try and shoot it quick. But we weren't as good with the ball, and we couldn't score at a high enough clip. Boy, it really put a lot of pressure on your defense. So, you know, as much as we focused on defense, again, with the way I believe we'll shoot it, and the way we can move it, and when you do play 4 around 1, you have your basketball IQ is usually higher. One thing I will say though, Gavin and August are good with the ball. Like, we throw it to the post a lot. They're good kicking it out. They've made good decisions with the basketball. But I'd love to see that thing get to about 78 points again, 75 points again. And then there's nights where you're having a hard time guarding a team that's really on a hot lunch. You know, you still have some cushion.
Coach, you have 7 games in November. That game in December, Michigan State's got to get your attention. I mean, it probably comes at a good time just to.
Yeah. Well, the ones that, again, when you're coming off a year like us, the exhibition has my attention, that Springfield, when we play UMass and Providence, kind of on the road, and their NCAA tournament teams last year, that's going to be a heck of a barometer for us. There's no question. You have Michigan State and Florida State here before Christmas. This group could get some things under their belt that could really make them feel good about themselves and start to create a resume. You could go home at Christmas break and go, wow, we got a little bit of a resume. And we didn't have that last year. Now, other years we haven't had it, and we still gotten a bid because we've done it through the league. But, it'd be nice to do that. I mean, for our home fans, I think they got some great home games in here. Michigan State, Florida State, Duke, Syracuse, Virginia, all coming in here. And you'd like to get back to holding serve here. And we had an unbelievable run for 7 years. I told one of the national writers today, I said, before last year, that 7-year stretch, the best home winning percentage was Kansas. The second best was us. He's like, get the hell out of here. I said, well, I'm telling you, look it up. Nobody else believed it either, and they looked at it on the stats. And so you got to get back to hold and serve here because, as you've heard me say before, it's harder to win on a road in this league because you're on campus. And you're not playing in the Allstate Arena anymore. You're not playing in the Rock, and your people buy tickets.
Do you feel like maybe last year you took a couple bullets? Jaron, it hurt not to have him. Demetrius maybe gained a little maturity, even though, we don't know the whole story behind that, but do you feel like maybe...
Oh, I think he's grown from it, there's no question. I think just handling college life for Demetrius was new, and it's demanding here. I think he would look back and say, me giving him that leave of absence may be the best thing ever happened to him, because, he just needed to know, not here, not anymore. And not playing well can't be an excuse for bad habits in other areas. It's just not going to happen. I think he's really grown, and he had a great summer academically. He's in the midst of a pretty good fall, and his attention to detail has been better than last year. More like a young man, learned some tough lessons, but I love him, and he's a battler, he's a fighter, and right now, the way he's defending and starting our defense with his ball pressure, because that's exhausting to do that all the time, and it's very unselfish to say, I will do it again, even though it may affect my jump shot. I am going to pick this guy up three-quarter court, and I'm going to turn him. It's a heck of a workout. But his teammates have told him how important that is so much. It's gotten even more important than me telling him. When Grant and Connaughton are saying, I'll tell you what, man, when you pressure the ball, it helps us back here. So, like where he's at, it's not going to always be easy for him. We're going to have some tough nights, but it is his team to quarterback, and that's 75% of it right now for him.
How different is Jaron, both in terms of skill level from the work that he put in when he was away, and also maybe just the mentality, the appreciation?
Yeah, I don't think the skill levels change much. I do think he really appreciates this place, and it's nice to have an older guy in the locker room. If any young guy whines about something here, he can say, you know what, you got it pretty good, man. He's come back talking more. He's never going to be a real vocal leader, but he's come back and accepted responsibility to kind of run this team. And I think he and Connaughton, they have a great 1-2 punch as far as, okay, I mean, we're the veterans here. It's kind of on us to set the tone for everybody else. But, he's been a machine. He's in great shape. Again, he's off the radar, which is great. He's one of the better players in college basketball. He's really a heck of a guard. And, when we lost him, we lost a playmaker that, he was involved with every play offensive. He wasn't scoring it. He was setting somebody up. Why do I think we shot it better in Italy? Because he was there to get guys cleaner looks. When he gets in and he's kicking, all of a sudden guys are getting a little bit cleaner looks. And he still does that. I think for him, and he had it figured out pretty good through 12 games, what is his balance of hunting your shot and making plays? That's a fine line. He had to become a more consistent defender. We have really held him accountable for that. Maybe he wasn't held as accountable for that in the past, and that's my fault. I've held him much more accountable to that, because when he gets out and moves defensively with those quick feet and the reach, when you have him and Jackson getting into people, that's a pretty good defensive group.
Last season, a lot of close losses, especially in the ACC play. How much is he going to help in those late game situations, being the guy that's going to get the ball?
Well, he was our guy for a number of years of down the stretch, ball screen for Jaron, let him read it. And we did Monday, I call it Game Situations Monday, where we came in and did a bunch of game situations. And the low clock stuff, Jaron's the guy. But I'll say this, Demetrius Jackson is blossoming into another threat in a low clock, because we can ball screen for him, and he can get into the lane and get fouled or make a play. So I feel we have another guy doing it. But there's no question, a guy who's delivered doing that throughout his career for us has been Jaron. And we were a little rudderless in the last 2 minutes. How are we going to score? Who's it going to be? And then we couldn't get a key stop. So, we got exactly what we deserved at 6-12.
I know they're in a hole now, but have you and Pat talked a lot about the Orioles here in this playoff?
Been talking about my O's. I told him, man, I'm going to go to the Grotto. Is there a score, by the way?
Yeah, 2-1.
Oh, thanks a lot. Get him out. They're coming back 2-1. I'm thinking about Wild Bill Hagee and channeling everybody, but Pat and I have had a good time talking about it until the last couple days. So I was hoping I could maybe catch Game 6, but I don't know if they're going back to Baltimore because I'm giving our guys a little break. But we have talked a lot about the Orioles and his stay there. And and the thing that I think you'll find when you talk to Pat, maybe some of you have already, he's not coming back to play out the basketball string. He's intrigued to see who he is as a basketball player to make a living at the end of this. And the one thing he said the other day, which was really powerful, he's never been able to just concentrate on basketball for 7 months, 8 months without thinking about, well, I better get and throw a little bit, or he is all hoops. And I have had NBA people inquire about him. It's funny how they ask. They go, so Connaughton, he's probably just going to go play baseball, right, Mike? I said, not necessarily. He's very intrigued to see, what the basketball year brings up. He's smart enough to know the business side of it. He knows his future there. But he loves the game, and I think he's been thrilled that he can just come in the gym and work on his game, and he doesn't have to go throw.
Coach, I was actually just going to ask you about Pat and the two-sport aspect. Have you detected an even heightened maturity? You're talking about teams losing men, but now you have even a more mature man. And also the fact that so many two-sport guys that are good on a pro level, it's football, baseball, or football, basketball, but not basketball, baseball.
This guy's a flat-out stud. This is one of the unique athletes we've had in our history here. And then you add the kind of man he is, as far as how he handles his business over there academically, the personality he has. The guy's unbelievable. I mean, you're flat out spoiled coaching him. And I will miss working with him because he's upbeat. He's an amazing guy there every day. But he is, it's amazing how he handled the two things here. Mick and I had a great, take him now, take him there. Of course, we lose early in the ACC tournament, obviously. He comes up to my room, and he's sheepish. About 3 hours after the game, he said, Coach, man, I know I probably should go back with the team, but, baseball team's over. I think they were playing Duke. Baseball team's in Durham playing Duke. Coach Mick, I said, get over there, man. Win the game for us. Go. But he's, he came back from 6 weeks of rookie ball. And in the second practice in June, he looked like it was the end of the season. He looked like he looked in the Carolina game. He's just playing. I mean, it's really unique what he's able to do. And, I told him last year, I said, man, you had a heck of a year. You dunked on Jabari Parker and you struck out Jameis Winston. That's a hell of a year, man. I mean, it's a pretty good year.
Getting past that MLB draft is a lot of pressure. Do you think even in the basketball season, do you think that was?
I don't think that. No, he does not. He has never been. Everyone told me, tell him not to say he's going to play basketball. Tell him to say, leading up to the draft, I'm not sure, because it could hurt his draft stock. Pat was always like, I'm playing basketball. I mean, I even told him, Pat, you don't need to say it. He goes, Coach, I made a commitment here. I'm finishing. I love basketball. My dad and I talked about it. We're coming back. I said, great, I love it. But, agents would say, tell him not to say that. But that's who he is, man. He's so pure. I don't think there was any distraction with Major League Baseball and where I'm going to go. He has basically handled this on his terms. I'm doing it my way, and anybody has a problem with it, don't draft me. And a lot of people did shy away because of the hoops thing. But it's really a man. He's a man. Thanks, gang. See you.